Now, I'm interested in your take on the growing conflict within conservative ranks. There's two sides battling it out. Ben Shapiro's on one side, Tucker Carlson on the other. And I want to play you a clip that has gone viral in the past 24 hours. It's Ben Shapiro. He's talking about housing and affordability. Let's have a listen first.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up. But the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities.
CJ, Ben Shapiro is copying significant criticism for that. Is that unfair? There's an argument that that brand of conservatism is going to alienate young voters and voters who feel like they can't really get into the housing market, that it's the privileges their parents had is not available to them.
No, you're exactly right. And I think that type of just pessimism is not what's going to be what wins over the hearts and minds of young people and brings them over to our side. The American dream should be attainable if you are an American, right? There are people that are trying to give the American dream to folks who aren't even American citizens. And so, of course, young people in this country who are American, who want to own a home. We've seen many studies where 90% of Gen Z says they will wish to one day own a home, but fear they never will be able to. That type of doomerism is not going to be what brings them over to our side. And so I would say that I completely disagree with Ben on that. And I would ask where he would want them to move. Are we supposed to lose our best and brightest to Costa Rica or some type of third world country where maybe there will be millionaires? I don't really know what the solution to what he was proposing actually is or what that would even look like. So.
Now, I think I would hope he was suggesting that perhaps move to more affordable parts of America as opposed to some of the big cities where affordability is such a problem. But it is interesting, isn't it, that that sort of sentiment can be seen as just lacking in compassion and young people feeling like they've done the right things, they've gone to university, they've got this massive college debt, they're trying to work, and they're not getting ahead. They're falling further behind. And I think that's something that, all sides of the political spectrum need to think about. Now, the left like to portray themselves as kind, compassionate, open-minded when they're nothing of the sort. And that's something actress Cheryl Hines has discovered firsthand. Here she is chatting with Bill Maher.
The Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning, when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And it's
sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Of course, actress Cheryl Hines married to RFK Jr. CJ, Bill Maher still votes Democrat. He campaigns against Republicans, but even he acknowledges that the left has changed. Just during his lifetime, there's been a fairly dramatic change.
Yeah, these may not be the Democrats they grew up with, but these are the Democrats of today. The Democrats who completely hate free speech. We saw it just yesterday at the Turning Point USA event that happened at UC Berkeley, where they threw fire bombs and sought to assault attendees of the event. And this is the so-called, political party of supposed tolerance. These people absolutely hate dissent. They hate different ideas. They hate half of America, unfortunately. Like, that is where we are right now. And I think Cheryl Hines is completely right. What I hope is that, those classical liberals, those old school Democrats realize that there is no home for them in the modern day Democrat Party. I hope that they, find themselves, looking at other options. Bill Maher is someone that, I feel like sometimes we give him a little bit too much credit because I think that he knows that reality is true, that there is no home for him in the modern day Democratic Party. But still, he hasn't found his way, outside of it quite yet. But I'll hold out hope for him, and hopefully he'll make the jump one day.
Well, he's come a long way. I mean, I've played clips of him going on insane rants, TDS-afflicted rants, and he doesn't do that anymore. He made all sorts of doomsday predictions if Trump won, that, you know, everyone's free speech was going to be taken away, he was going to be ripped off air, he would never give up power. He's moderated somewhat, so there's hope for him. Let's just see if he's fully cured of his TDS. But during that chat, they also talked about McCarthyism, modern-day McCarthyism, a real variety that exists undoubtedly, where if you're in the entertainment world, particularly Hollywood, and you are not a leftist, then it is going to impact your career. It doesn't matter how popular you are, how good you are at your job, you're probably not going to get the roles that you would get. Perhaps you won't get any roles at all and you would be blacklisted.
You know, I think you're exactly right. You know, the cancel culture that has defined the left is very much alive and well in Hollywood. But what I'll give them kind of credit for now with the rise of the Sydney Sweeneys, that you kind of realize that people are over this entire, being lectured by a bunch of Hollywood celebrities who are completely and grossly out of touch with the day-to-day problems of everyday Americans. And I think that's exactly why, all of Hollywood may have rallied around Kamala Harris, may have rallied around Joe Biden and Barack Obama, but the American people rejected those individuals and their pleas to, fall in line and all of those things. And so people are over cancel culture. They're over being told how to think and what to think. Why? Because this is the United States of America. And I think courage is contagious. So when you see, celebrities like Cheryl Hines now who are starting to ask those questions, even Bill Maher, starting to, ask questions he previously, would never have thought to ask, or make criticisms of his own side that he would have never thought to make, I think it leads to a lot of other people in Hollywood saying, why can't I ask those same questions as well?
Now, CJ, I want to play you some footage from the New York City subway. Watch how this woman is threatened, pushed around, and how nobody intervenes.
Violate a lady, but you do that again, and I'll you up. You feel me? I'm gonna you up. You what you talking about? Don't sit there and do none of that. I'm gonna violate your talk about. Don't push me. Don't push me. Are you fucking serious? Are you serious? Knock your out. Stop jumping. She was a you're so lucky, bro. Right to my set, you lucky out here, female. What about boys? Find that bag. You find that bag.
CJ, in my mind, that's a failure in masculinity. What happened to Good Samaritans? What happened to chivalry? What happened to protecting women?
You're exactly right. It's a failure of masculinity, but it's also the spread of cowardice. But why does that cowardice maybe exist? Maybe because it's of folks like Daniel Penny, who would have seen something like that, would have sprung into action, and then in a city like New York would not have been treated like the hero that he was, would not have been commended for standing up for someone that's weaker than him, smaller than him, but would have been thrown in jail and risk the ability of ever making a livelihood ever again. And so it's unfortunate that, I think people have to think and double think about those things. I think we all still just rise to the occasion still and say, no, we're just not going to let that happen. But I think that we're seeing exactly the type of reaction that the conditions of New York City and their law enforcement have created. And it's only going to get worse under Mamdani. So it's, if this is a foreshadowing of what's to come, I think that this is going to get a lot worse from here.
CJ Pearson, thank you so much for your time.